So a bit of a sort of curveball, and this is mainly because I've been reading about Platonism quite a lot recently, in kind of preparation for other guests. Do you think that sort of kind of like abstract Platonic properties could also kind of count or bolster the sort of case that you put forwards in your book, Why? I'm aware we're going to dive into some more of the details in due course, but I thought it'd be interesting to ask you kind of why you kind of stayed or steered clear of speaking so much about kind of Platonism and how that could, I guess, build in a framework which has the kind of fundamental properties, the sort of ones that you're addressing here. So, kind of, why did you kind of steer not completely away, but fairly clear of that subject?
No, well, I think I would embrace some kind of Platonism. If that just means the facts about value are in a sort of timeless, eternal realm of some kind, not realm in the sense of physical space. But I mean, I share the Platonist view that I think what's going on with mathematics and what's going on with value is somehow the same. It's somehow metaphysically the same kind of thing, and that's partly what makes me feel less worried about my value realism. There are deep questions about how we make sense of objective value. How could it be? How can reality fix what's right and wrong, good or bad? And also, how do we know about these things? But I think you've got kind of the same thing in mathematics. We seem to have these objective truths of mathematics and logic, sorry, that my colleagues in other departments take themselves to be discovering. How do we learn about this timeless realm of mathematics? We know how we learn about the physical world very roughly with light bouncing off things going in your eyes, but how does the brain get impacted by this transcendent realm of mathematics? The great physicist Roger Penrose has been very good at outlining this as pressing this as one of the big mysteries. Um, so whatever you say about mathematics, so even though there's deep challenges with value, I think those challenges reoccur in the case of mathematics. So if we can find a solution for the mathematical case, we can find it for the value case too. And part of the reason we're stuck with that with mathematics, I think, is there used to be a project in the 20th century of trying to explain mathematics in terms of logic, but I think Gödel's incompleteness theorem kind of puts pay to that, because that, roughly that shows that there are for any kind of algorithm, you're not going to be able to generate all the truths of arithmetic from that algorithm. And therefore there must be some mathematical truths that don't just follow from logic and axioms. I mean, so yeah, as you say, I think the big problem for Platonism is the epistemological one. How do we know about the Platonic realm? Plato thought the soul existed with the forms before birth, and we recall that realm from before our birth. I don't think many of us want to take that direction. What I've been sort of playing with in the back of my mind that I may one day write on is a sort of Aristotelian Platonism, a sort of combination of Aristotle and Plato. Aristotle had these ideas that the forms, what Plato called the forms, and Plato took to be transcendent, are actually inherent in the physical world. So the universal or form of sphericity is sort of embodied in any spherical object. And so if you destroy all the spherical objects, you'll thereby destroy sphericity. So that's why on that, who is it, the great Renaissance painter, where you've got a picture of Plato pointing up and Aristotle pointing down. That was the contrast there. So in this Aristotelian Platonism, you'd have Aristotle's view that the forms or the universals are inherent in the physical world, but Plato's view that they exist necessarily. So we disagree with Aristotle that you destroy all the physical world, you destroy all the forms. And I think that's important, because I think mathematical and value truths are necessary. So whatever grounds their existence must itself exist necessarily. But if we follow Aristotle and think these forms are in here in the physical world, or maybe in our consciousness, which I think of as a sort of concrete physical thing in a way, then maybe we can be acquainted with them directly, and maybe we can learn about the form of goodness just through being directly acquainted with it embodied in our consciousness. So that's sort of roughly, and similarly with mathematical forms, maybe they're in some sense embodied in the physical universe as well as being transcendent. So I'm trying to have my cake and eat. I always trying to go for the middle ways, that they're sort of transcendent but also in the physical world. So we point up and down at the same time. But anyway, I haven't really worked out all the details of this, but that seems to me an attractive picture.
If you enjoyed this clip, then head on over to Locals to access the full conversation right now. Supporters can access the video version, and everyone can access the audio-only version of the conversation. I'll see you over there.